We're talking about aging. We're talking about why aging is such a dirty word, if you will, especially when it comes to women. So today, can we start rewriting what that story looks like? Hello, good afternoon. It is Gwendolyn G.R. Houston Jack. We are here with another episode of Guuuurl Listen. And we're talking about aging today. We're talking about aging because this does tie into the entire conversation of self-love and self-care. But it happens to be, like a lot of other topics, its own dirty word. Like, God forbid if you say, oh my God, you're looking like. So I figured, let me just tap on the iceberg. I'm going to tap it because some of these conversations, they literally break off into a multitude of rabbit holes and things. But I want to get some of the big stuff. Let's get some of the big stuff. So again, we are streaming live to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. If you're on LinkedIn, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and you can even hit that notification button if you want to, because we are doing all the things here, all the things, and we would love to have you guys take that ride with us. Love to have it. So when I was talking about aging, and in my last conversation with my dear friend Joe, it was mentioned that I tend to age myself up. That is true. I age myself up. It's just what it is. For a long time, I was telling people I was 40 before I was 40. It was just, and then I forgot what age I was. And then I remembered, oh no, wait, this is my 40th year. So I stayed 40. And up until that point, I've been staying true to my age. But now that I'm almost 50, I kind of just say, well, I'm almost 50. So I just say 50. Just round it up. Although technically, if the Lord allows, I will be 48, right? So when we started talking about aging, there are people who absolutely don't like to share their age. I don't fully understand it. I'm not going there today. But I do want to talk about the biases that are very obvious when it comes to women. And they are there. And they are there from women. And they are there from those who are not. You see it in the workplace. You definitely see it in Hollywood. Like, how many times have we seen the older actor, male, with the younger female counterparts? When you look at some of your morning news shows, talk shows, remember Regis and Kelly? Regis was like, but we have this deal whereas the guy he's fine to be older. He gets more regal when he's older. It's more wise. But the lady, you know what? You look like you could be hitting the 40s, as if that's old. You look like it, so maybe we need to probably not have you in this role. And that could even be in leadership. It's not just in the movies or on TV media. It's not just there. We see it all over the place. And so we're looking at these biases against women that are very obvious, and we're going to dig into it. So when I got to thinking about aging, first of all, everything ages. Can we all acknowledge that everything ages? Everything. That big thing out there called the sun, that has like UVA and UVB rays and all that stuff, it ages all of us. Every single person is impacted by that light. But look at your home. The lighting in your home, be it incandescent, LED, whatever you want to call it, fluorescent, it doesn't matter. That light, it ages everything in your home. Look at your curtains. Move a lamp off of an end table that hasn't moved in a while. You're like, oh, look at this ring. Yes, that light is aging. Everything ages. So why we have this sort of adverse reaction to growing older, I would love to know. I really would. Because it's a natural progression. When you buy strawberries, and if you don't take care of them well, after a while, them suckers get old. I mean, that's just, it's the nature of things. Look at your body. Your body's going to not keep doing the same thing it was doing when you were 12, right? Things start to creak and get a couple of moans here and there. It's just kind of, whoa, what was that? Right? So we know that things age, but yet and still, there is this weirdness about denying it. Now, here's what I thought. It's my first thought about it. I immediately thought, could it be the fear of death? Could it be that the idea of aging means I'm closer to my end? Now, I would not consider myself an expert on death, but I've had my fair share of loved ones who have passed on. And I know that death knows no age. It doesn't know that you're 80 and so now it's your time. It doesn't know that you're 91 or 102 and those are blessings. It doesn't know that you're 2 years old or that you're still in your mother's womb. It doesn't know that. It just is. And when it's your time, it's your time. So could it be part of our fear of getting older, of aging, is that it really brings to the forefront our mortality. And we start to realize my time is almost up. Could that be why, part of the reason why we don't like to acknowledge that we're aging? It's because it brings the ideas of mortality, our own mortality, face to face with us. Now, I'll say this. I live all my days like this just could be it. Like, just don't know. And ask yourself, quick sidebar, if you knew it was your last day, would you do anything different? Would you now start living life? Curious, put it in the chats, put it in the comments. I'm curious. If you knew this was your very last, would you do all the things that you could do that you were afraid to do before? Just asking. But let's get out of that. We're not there for that. We're not there. I want to go here, though. I want to talk about some comments. Now, I'm looking at aging, and I thought to myself, how do we break this down? So I want to look at, one, some of the thoughts and the biases that we have for women when it comes to aging. And then I want to look at dismissing some of the stereotypes and the narratives that we currently have out there when it comes to women and aging. Now, these are huge topics. They're huge. But I like to start big and then, we'll chomp on them. We can narrow it down. So I was reading some blogs, and this one is from a blogger in the UK. Her name is Nikki Manicki. Nikki Kanicki. Got her name wrong. God bless. But she says, I am not saying women can't look after themselves. I'm writing this as someone who does not want to look old. And because I am now heading towards my mid-30s and noticing changes in my body and appearance and exercise for the first time in my life and using more skincare products than ever before, I don't want to look young, but I don't want to look old either. And envy women that really don't give a shit about aging. All right, so let me say this. I'm that chick. We're not trying to dye this gray, the salt and pepper. I like the salt and pepper. I like it. I like it. I like my salt and pepper. I like my wrinkles. As you, if you've seen any of my older YouTube shows, you know that I talk about the chin hairs, but I do shave the chin hairs, okay? Because the changes in the body is like, ooh, this is new. This right here is new. Feel like a billy goat. This is new. But I like my wrinkles and I like what's going on here. And I don't care. Zero fudge to give. Zero. Now, I do know that as we get older and like the body changes and things, and so, my exercise regimen is for heart health, and so that I can't, I don't want to buy new clothes, so I do it for that reason. But what struck me the most in this snippet out of her bigger blog post about aging and women, that she didn't want to look old. But what does look old look like? What does that look like? Because that's one of those things where, this was written 2020. But I thought to myself, we're talking mid-30s. 30s, like when you're in your 30s, when you're in your late 30s to like mid-40s, you're just starting to get into life. 20 ain't about nothing. I'm sorry, it's not. Your teens, you're in high school, you're just starting to figure out that you are a person. Your 20s, you are defining who you are. That's the latter, in my opinion, your latter 20s. So you're having a good time, so you might be in college or whatever, doing something, but you're young, just getting started. And then when you get to your 30s, you may have figured out your career path. And now you're like, oh, I feel like I'm making some moves here. I'm just getting into a groove. Your mid-30s, you're like, oh, life is feeling pretty good. Wait till I get 40. And when you hit 40 is like, oh, we are now doing all the things. Like, this is it. Like, 40 is where it's at, because now you have been in your career, possibly 10, 15 years. You're feeling the traction. You're seeing the fruits of your labor. You're like, phew. This is it. You plan vacations. You go to like vineyards and whatnot. Like this is whole other life when you're 40. Even if you have kids, your kids are like about to get out of high school. So you're about to like come really into your own and do your own thing. You're like, this is now my time, because I've, cared for this person or persons for XYZ years. So 40 is where it's at. So I got happy when I was heading towards my 40. Of course, like I said, I was rounding myself up the whole entire time. So different mindset here. But I got to thinking, what does look old mean? What does that mean? What does 20 look like? What does 30 look like? What does 40 look like? What does 50, 60, 70, 80, 90? What does it look like? Because when I was looking up, just, because you start thinking, when I was researching ages, like Bob Barker, I was like, damn, brother's old. I mean, he's old. William Shatner was putting out messages that these are his last days. Well, yeah, you're like 90 something. Like there's nowhere else to go after that. Like, when you're 50, 60, 70, in my eyes, that's still young. You just starting to get into life. When you're 90, 100, I don't know where else there is to go. So your last days, well, yeah, technically they are, because, 90 is not a spring chicken. Still young in thought, young in spirit, young in behavior. I believe age is a number. If you want to act it, like, okay, I guess. But what does it look like? And particularly for women, what does it look like when you're looking at 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70? What does it even look like? That we have to now define. Because I will tell you, and I do believe that treating yourself well, 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 treating yourself well impacts this right here. Now, I am not a vegan. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like my red meat, but again, I also work out for heart health to keep a healthy heart. But I enjoy my red wine. I enjoy a good cocktail. So I'm not even living that life of, oh, this will, but I've never smoked, which I know can draw out a little something on the face. I get that little. But there have been more than enough times that we have been in rooms, me, myself, and I have been in a room and someone says, well, aren't you just like 32, 33? I'm like, I'm old enough to be your mama. Sorry, not sorry. Right? But it is spirit. I do believe part of it is the spirit that makes the difference. Now, let me take a step back and talk about the ageism that women face. And this is its own separate conversation. But we also know it does impact how we show up in different places and spaces. Originally, ageism was understood to be prejudice, stereotypes, and discriminatory behavior targeted at older employees, driven by the misperception that performance worsens and capacity decreases as people age. Older employees are expected to just quietly leave so that younger talent can take the reins. With an increasingly diverse and multi-generational workforce, age bias now occurs across the career life cycle. Youngism refers to ageism towards younger adults and is fueled by the conflation of age with maturity and the misperception that tenure is required for competency. You can be old and still be a fool. I've seen it. Yes. However, research has only just begun to investigate how age is used to justify bias and discrimination, specifically against women. Gendered ageism sits at the intersection of age and gender bias and is a double whammy where there is no right age for professional women. It's ridiculous. Again, when you get into your 40s, in my opinion, in my own experience, you were just coming into your own. You were like bringing it. You got all the knowledge, all the things. And depending on your organization, they will look at you and say, maybe time to change the guard here. It may be time. It just might be time to pass it. So we have ageism in terms of the workplace. But keep this in mind too. What's not discussed here in this snippet is that even that ageism is impacted in terms of leadership based on how we look. So let's say that you are of 40, 50 or whatever, but you look as if you're younger. Maybe you're shorter in stature. And so the people that you now have to manage look at you as if you're a kid, as if your leadership is less than. We have seen it. They assume with the age that they can talk to you a certain way, they can approach you a certain way, that you will be easy to run over, all the things. Kiddo, cute little pet names, and I use cute with sarcasm because it's really not cute. But we see that as well in the workplace, across the board. And so you ask yourself, when you have these things attacking you daily, as a woman, how do you show up to make sure that people get it? That you are and should be here. Do you find yourself, as they say, dressing younger because that's what they're looking for? Do you find yourself dyeing your hair to hide the gray because you don't want people to understand that I'm a little older? All the things to consider when we talk about age and women. Again, I like my gray. So where do we start with rewriting this narrative? When do we start saying, we've got to change some things here? Because this doesn't have to be, right? Like what people are putting out there, we have an impact on it. Now, there was a study done. It says in less than 15 years, people age 65 and up will outnumber those 18 and under for the first time in US history. What? This major demographic shift presents a good opportunity for reevaluating our stereotypes and negative assumptions about getting older. Aging comes for us all. Everybody gets older. Everything gets older. So it's time to tune into its upsides, particularly for women. Right now, older women face a double challenge of ageism and sexism, and a common response to these obstacles is to feel uncomfortable as one ages and try to hide it to the extent possible. But in fact, being older is a tremendous advantage for many women, particularly women in leadership positions, as our society shifts toward an older workforce. It's extremely important for women to embrace their age, to both spare themselves unnecessary grief and to reach their greatest potential. Girl, listen. Now, I know people were thinking that this next group of kids, and ooh, that was rude. This next group of workers, we're going to swoop in and like take it over. It's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. We already see it now because their way of working isn't matching the old fashioned way of working. And I admit, I'm not a fan of the old fashioned way of working either. However, I understand that if these two aren't talking, you're not managing those people. So who do you have left? Not that we are leftovers. Not that you should choose someone because, well, that's all we got available. No, they have all the things you need to manage your workforce. They have every single thing. Why not take advantage of that? Instead of doing what we used to do, which is force retirement on some of these people, especially women. This article also said, indeed, the image of the lonely, cranky senior simply doesn't match reality. Instead, we tend to be happier as we age. The older adults we surveyed in their 60s, 70s, and 80s were more likely to report feeling calm, optimistic, cheerful, and full of life, and less likely to report hopelessness, restlessness, nervousness, or sadness than those in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. The results are supported by a body of scientific literature showing that happiness is roughly U-shaped, dipping at midlife and increasing as we age. Trust me. As someone who's almost 50, I feel great. I feel really good, really optimistic. I am loving life as it is. I'm looking towards enjoying the grandkids, spending time with family, getting with the girls. Like, it's looking really good at like almost 50. Now, I will say this, when I was 20 and 30 and in my 40s, and yes, I'm still in my 40s. I'm sorry, I keep rounding up. I didn't really have a lot of hopelessness and restlessness, nervousness or sadness. I didn't have that. I was a go-getter, but I get it. This is look at a mass body of people of a certain age. And so, the times have changed. Clearly, I'm not in, I'm closer over here than I am over there. So, but when I got 40, I was like, it is about to be on. We're 40, we're doing the things. Yeah. And now that we're almost 50, life can't get any better. Well, of course it can, but I'm thinking, it can't get any better. So let's talk about the beauty of aging. Let's go there as we wrap this up. Aging is a blessing. It's a blessing. To be able to see The next day is a blessing. So to be able to grow older with your loved ones, your friends, your family, your loved, like your sweethearts, it's a blessing. I don't think ever that is awful to get up and like, oh my God, I'm getting older. I love it. My family and I have lost loved ones at a young age. So it is a blessing to get older. That's one. Let's let's stop looking at the downside of aging as if there's a downside. Okay, take it back. Is there a downside? No. Is there more work involved? Yes. I do feel like an old car sometimes. September rolls around, I gotta get the wellness exam and the hearing, and we get the mammogram, and you get all the work done. So yeah, it can. You like an old car, but that's a great thing. Like, have you seen the old American muscle cars? Like, hello. They have only gotten better with age, and Lord, if I can find me one, woo, girl. Let's also dismiss the idea of what a particular age person should do, how they should live, how they should dress, what they should like. Let's get rid of that. When people see older people dancing, out and about, enjoying life, it's almost as if they feel like these are old race horses that should be out to pasture, just like grazing on grass. Don't know who wrote that story for all of us. And I don't know why we even embrace it or put our arms around it. We got to burn that sucker. Do a Viking funeral, sit it out, and like just let it burn. Right? It has no age. Dancing has no age. Right? Bungee jumping has no age. Skydiving has no age. They're just activities. They have no age. Just activities. Let go of that. And I'm going to say this, and actually even end with it. Not living life is similar to just being dead, right? You're afraid to live and you're afraid to die. So what are you doing? What are you doing? We're only here for a little time, and none of us know exactly what that time is. So while you're here, why not make the most of it? You got wrinkles? Show them bitches off. Right? You got a little stretch mark here and there. You got a gut. It's yours. Love it. Love all of it. It's about you. This is the one time where it is about you. And we should not be concerned about what so-and-so was thinking of what the world is saying, society is saying. They're not paying your bills and they are not waking up every single morning. So forget that. Do you. Do you, and do you with as much happiness as you can muster every single day. You got great? Show it off. Who was that? Stacey London. Oh, God. I really wanted like a Stacey London, like gray streak. I didn't really get it. I got something else. I didn't get it. But I don't mind the way it comes in. Like, I enjoy it. Aging is a beautiful thing. It's a blessing. Don't discount it. But I would love to know your thoughts about aging. Put it in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking. We would love to hear your thoughts. This has been another great episode of Guuuurl Listen. And we're going to come back because we still want to talk about aging. We want to talk about gender roles. We're going to look at vigilante justice and also a little grace and mercy. See you guys in the next one.